Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
Sue, late in his career, is going to have his first Super Bowl title. Now, no wonder they want to call it Tampa Bay. Or Tampa Brady. One more snap, would you have guessed when this impossible season was trying to launch that you'd get it all in, you'd get to Tampa, and when the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady. I don't know why we ever think it won't. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a second Super Bowl title in franchise history.
And Tom Brady doesn't pass the torch quite yet to Mahomes, does he? Even though
you're looking at the greatest right there.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mays, and sitting next to me is my co-host, Justin Raffoff.
Yeah, it's good to be here. It's been a little while since we've done this show, but we have been here quite often, but just not in this capacity.
I was about to say sitting next to me for the first time since July 25th, and I was like, well, okay, that's not true, because we did, 18 episodes of the Bulldog Hour?
Also, I think I was remote for that show.
so yeah, it's been a long time since you've been next to me for this show. Yeah. July 25th, 2021, episode 340. We were talking NFL. What are we talking tonight? Of course, NFL, because we've been gone. We've been away. We missed fully the first 12 weeks of the NFL season. Week 13 is in progress. We have the Sunday night game and Monday night game left to go. But there's a lot to talk about. We've got to get caught up.
Man, so much.
Obviously, clearly, my uncle is going to be here to he's got the receipts for our discussions from May, June, and July. So we're going to dive into that. He is probably not able to watch live. He blames spotty internet while he's down south for the winter. So I don't think he's watching live. If he is, I'm sure I'll get a text message saying otherwise. But he does have an email for us to check out, so we're going to do that momentarily. But I do want to make sure to thank our sponsor of the show, my dad and Mays Sandwich Shop, for helping us out here like they do on the Bulldog Hour. And if you would like to contact us, you can do that through the Mays Sandwich Shop email inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com, or you can call the Mays Sandwich Shop hotline at 215-315-3199. So, yeah, it's this doesn't feel new because we've been talking high school football since August. Took a week off last week at Thanksgiving. Happy belated anniversary to you and Jamie.
Thank you.
You had a good weekend.
Yeah, 10 years. That's crazy.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I'm working towards 13.
Yeah, because you're old.
I'm very old. Our conversation before the show definitely nailed that home. So, but yeah, we're here to talk pro football. I don't know. Do we want to do a quick college football talk before we get into NFL, which will be our main focus through middle of February?
I think we should, just because
we've been gone for so long.
Yeah.
So
so
Penn State had a season.
Crazy. It was crazy, like the last week or so.
Yeah.
So
Penn State had a season. I don't know. We don't have much else to say about that, I guess.
It's pretty much like 2 seasons.
Yeah, it was. It was almost exactly like last year.
And then there was a single play in the Iowa game when Clifford got hurt, and then it was just different the rest of the way.
Yeah, so Penn State rushed
because I know if Clifford doesn't get hurt in the Iowa game, they win that game, like by multiple scores. right? Like,
Right.
I think I know there's people who would argue against that, and he did get hurt, so like they didn't win that game. That's fine. But then there's not a chance they lose to Illinois the next week with
No.
a healthy Clifford coming off that and coming off the bye. Like, not a chance. Not a chance.
They still shouldn't have. That's the
They
problem.
probably no, absolutely. They probably still lose to Ohio State at
Right.
Ohio State.
Yeah, I just had this conversation
But
with
then
someone.
I don't think they lose. I don't think they lose again. I honestly think they're 11-1.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, and I think they would have still missed out on a bowl game or sorry, a playoff spot. But they'd be in a New Year's Six game. They'd be going to the Rose Bowl. That's my opinion. And is that like revisionist history a little bit? Yeah,
Maybe a little, but we're fans. That's what we're here for. I do wonder what would have happened if Clifford doesn't get hurt against Iowa, because Penn State was controlling that game.
they were dominating
For
that game.
whatever the Iowa coaches, players, fans, and their beat writers want to say, Penn State was dominating that game
Yeah.
because they could have been up by more.
Right.
And Iowa offensively could do nothing.
Right. Virtually everything had gone against Penn State's way, and they were still up big. Like, in no signs of slowing down. And Clifford got hurt, and then that was the end of that.
Breaking news.
Oh, gosh.
My uncle's listening.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
So here he is. But he will like my outfit. So if I don't know if it's focused, you can see I do have the 2021 Army Navy game attire, and I have the Fly Navy hat and the jersey. You can't really see it, but there it is, right there. I'm ready for next Saturday. And one of these years, Justin, years we're getting there.
Yeah, I was
now
gonna
this
say-
year wasn't an option because we want to go to Philly.
Right, yeah. I was going to say, well, if you can't play well, you might as well look good, right? So. I'm going to talk trash now because who knows?
Well,
Who knows?
see, honestly, this is the place I want to be because Navy has nothing riding on this
Oh, no,
next
they
game.
don't. And
Army's having
we've
a
seen
very
this.
good year. Navy's
Right.
below average again, unfortunately.
We've seen this where like the team that in theory should have no shot gets it done in this game because all the rivalry cliches you can
Oh
throw
yeah,
out,
they
insert
in this
here.
game it's just
That's cool.
it's,
We actually toured the Naval Academy
yes,
last weekend.
exactly. Yeah,
and that
it's-
was an
it was
incredible
crazy
experience.
to me when you told me a couple weeks ago you were going to Annapolis, and
right.
I just kind of did a double take.
yeah,
and I was
it
like,
definitely
what,
caught your
what?
attention, right?
What? And then you sent me pictures of the Blue Angel,
Right,
sitting. That's not an actual Blue Angel. Right? That's like I don't want to call it a mock-up, but it's like
Correct. Like
it's a
yeah.
statue type.
Yes, yeah.
But then you also sent me a picture of the Navy football buses, I believe.
Yeah, they were getting ready. They were like loading up
Ready
to
to
go
go
up
to
to
the game.
Philly, and they dominated Temple. And that was the end
Okay,
of Temple's coach.
that's perfect all around. So Adam, if you're watching, I know we have our back and forth about Temple and Penn State, but I'm also a Navy fan, and they took it to Temple. Temple didn't have a good year, right? They were 3-9
They
this
fired
year.
their coach after he
Rough.
left Northern Illinois, and he had been really good at Northern Illinois. Now, they'd had a string of some success, and it'll be interesting.
They'll always have the was that 2015 when they beat Penn State?
think
That'll
so.
be that'll forever be there, etched in everyone's memory for better or worse.
Right.
But yeah, so go Navy, beat Army. Put that out there for the game is next Saturday, 3:00, CBS. I can't wait for the whole week-long build-up
yeah,
because there's
it's-
nothing else in the college football world except Heisman, right?
Yeah, Heisman will be next week, and there may be some of like the FCS playoff rounds. And things, but
big
yes.
top tier or
Correct.
college football.
no, there's nothing going on.
Army Navy build up this week. I'm very excited for it. Ready to watch that game. Hopefully Navy can come out on top after winning. What was it? 16 in a row, I think it was.
It was a lot.
If it wasn't 16, it was close to it. They've now lost 3 of the last 4.
Right.
And that upsets both me and your son,
Yeah.
who apparently has completely converted to a Navy fan. Last
Yeah.
year, I stoked that fire
Yeah, you did,
by
you did.
mysteriously, a Navy shirt just happened to show up at your doorstep.
Right. Yeah.
I remember that conversation, and we probably talked about this on the show when you were like, "Did you send Austin a Navy shirt?" I was like, "That depends. If Jamie wants to kill whoever sent it. No, I did not send it. But if she's okay with it, then yes, that is from me. But yeah, then you ended up getting him one anyways, which he's worn like 3 times.
It's funny because we got him one. Well, we were like looking through the gift shop, and it's like there's one that was like Navy football, and they had it like in a size. So we're like, okay, that would work. And then we saw one that was like, don't give up the ship. But I was like,
he liked the saying.
I liked the shirt better, and second of all, like I feel like it was less of a direct blow, like because it's more like Navy in general,
rallying
than like
cry.
Navy football, right? But,
Which I mean, you have been very much on the Navy train because you sent me the information on actually about the Smarter Everyday video by Destin
dude.
about the Coast Guard
my
because you
gosh.
know I've always
Right,
loved the Coast
right.
Guard. But then after I watched his first in a 5 or 6 part series on the Coast Guard, I went back through and found the Navy ones.
like I think there's like 6 videos on
6 or
nuclear
7,
stuff.
yeah.
It's incredible.
I'm on the last one.
It's
So
incredible.
I've watched all of
The
them
la-
leading
and,
up to it, and the
like,
last one is the surfacing.
Each one, like, don't get me wrong, every one I'm like, oh man, that was crazy. Like, I'm gonna watch them all anyway because I
Yes.
watch all of his videos.
They're all very interesting
at various times. But like, I'm watching it and I'm like, when they're like going through the like surfacing through the ice, like it's nuts when you're thinking about what these guys are thinking about at every given moment. Like it's incredible. It's just really cool.
Here, I'm going to throw this out at you. Destin is incredibly into science and technology, which
Yes,
we're guilty. He's also a big college football fan.
He is.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, he is.
He's from Alabama. He's a big Bama fan. I'm going to ask if he wants to come on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Why wouldn't he? What does he have to lose?
Right. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, his stuff is awesome. And
Nerdy me would like pee my pants if
this show would end up being more about science and technology and all the
yes.
cool stuff he's done and less about college football. But yeah, so those videos, if you ever wanted to know anything about a nuclear
his dad
submarine.
Has worked on the James Webb Telescope, by the way.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in stuff like that, if you like Navy, if you're into science and technology, you just want to know the inner workings of a nuclear submarine. That's definitely a series you want to check out.
Climbs down the torpedo tube.
I was thinking, like, nope.
No, I know, like the claustrophobic stuff is.
I
setting in
watched.
during that time.
Obviously, this makes so much sense if you know me. I watched SEAL Team, the TV show, and in one episode, one of the characters gets stuck in a torpedo tube.
Nope. It makes me uncomfortable just
There,
talking about
and
it.
it's filling with water. And I don't remember why, and they might have blown that possibility out of the water by watching Destin's videos on Smarter Every Day. But they're using the torpedo tubes to enter back on a submarine after their mission, and like the valve fails or something like that. But then they can't use equipment to open it because they're being searched for, and as you know, noise. And we went through the whole sonar video. Active and passive.
Yeah.
And basically they couldn't do anything because if they start using tools and banging around, they're going to be detected. So, you know.
Yeah, it's just wild.
So,
wild.
real world meets fictional world, both very interesting. So, yeah, there you go. But back to college football. Penn State, to me, I just had this conversation. Honestly, I believe it was with one of our workers who I was just making fun of today on my parents' Facebook page. Just for fun. And then I caught grief from my mother-in-law because she thought I was making fun of him because he was a Steelers fan. And I was like, no, I'm not making fun of him because he's a Steelers fan. I'm singling him out so people know the person I'm making fun of is the one in the Steelers hat. I'm not saying he's lazy because he's a Steelers fan.
Was it Jake?
It was Jake. Yeah, of course it was Jake. But I was having a conversation with Jacob about Penn State, and we were talking about how the season could have gone. And I said, look, honestly, with proper coaching or not a slew of injuries, this team could have easily been 10-1.
Right.
Easily been 10-1. And they were like that Ohio State game, they could have had too. Now, I'm not saying they should have had it.
Right.
But they were in the
there.
game.
Yeah.
A couple of changes here and there, and it's a closer game, or it could be a W instead of an L. But all of the other games, all especially Iowa and Illinois, by far, should have been wins. But Michigan and Michigan State are the same way.
Right.
Both of those games should have been wins, and that's what's so frustrating because it's one thing to lose and know that they were the better team.
Like
by
the
and
Ohio
large,
State game.
most of the games, I can't say that. And now Michigan's number 2 and playing in the college football playoff.
Right. Right.
It's just frustrating. That's where we're at with Penn State. we lost defensive coordinator Brent Pry. He moved on to Virginia Tech as the head coach. Congratulations to him. I have
there are
no
now
ill will towards him for that.
There are now 4 Franklin assistants that he's had at Penn State that are now current head coaches in
Right, because Charles Huff is at Marshall.
Huff is at Marshall.
Pry's at Virginia Tech.
Moorhead is at Akron.
Oh, did he take that job?
He took the Akron job.
I knew he was up for it. I didn't know if he took it. Who's the other one? We're trying to go through the names of all the... Because Gaddis is a coordinator. Spencer's in the NFL. Trying to think. Donovan just got fired again.
Right, yeah. I saw a thing. And maybe I misread it because there's talk that Poindexter could
go to Virginia.
Job.
Yeah, I know. Right. I saw that.
Which would be interesting because then Virginia Tech would both be...
Both the Penn State guys. Well, Poindexter's a Virginia guy, but as a coach, he's a Penn State guy.
It's the guy who went to Old Dominion, the former offensive coordinator. He left a few years ago. He left before.
Oh my gosh! Well, we went from who was it? The guy after Donovan?
Yes. No.
Well, wasn't that Gaddis?
No, Gaddis never got the offensive coordinator.
Oh, he was wide receiver coach, and he wanted the next step.
He left and went to Alabama.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Right. It was after Moorhead. It was the guy after Moorhead.
Oh jeez, why do I not know that? Anyways.
Right. So it's the guy at Old Dominion.
Penn State's still trying to find a new defensive coordinator. The signing day is 10 days away.
Yeah.
Penn State currently has the number 1 class in the Big Ten, number 5 in the nation. Last I checked, at least in the composite, the 247 composite. So they're trying to keep that class together. Hopefully they did. You pointed out to me the other day that Penn State has never in the history of recruiting rankings signed a 5-star quarterback and 5-star running back in the same cycle.
Yep.
So they're bound to do that with Drew Alar from Ohio.
Which, by the way, the kid from Texas that went to Ohio State early helped seal that Drew Alar went to Penn State. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And then Nick Singleton, who's right here in our backyard, Governor Mifflin, whose season came to an end prematurely. It was a little bit of a surprise for everyone. To another Penn State recruit, but in the class of 2023, Joey Schlaffer in Exeter. But yeah, Singleton and Alar are setting up to be big-time players for Penn State. They both could possibly play next year. It's a big chance, big opportunity for both of them. I don't know if they will. I don't know if I want them to. If they're the best players on the team, I want them to play. But I don't know if I want 2 freshmen in the backfield.
Right, you're always set up with, what does that say about the other guys?
Right.
But then you think about the possibilities of having 3-year starters back there.
I know. That's why I said to you, I was like, I'm really looking forward to 2024.
All right.
That's where we're at. But Penn State got a good bowl draw, which I love because they're 7-5. They're playing on New Year's Day. Right. They're playing in better games or a better day than a ton of other teams in the Big Ten and terrible teams like Pitt.
Right.
So have fun on December 30th. I know it's a New Year's Six bowl, but you're playing on December 30th. Penn State's playing at noon on New Year's Day. So, yeah, I hate Pitt. So, is Kenny Pickett really going to be a first-round pick?
Oh, 100%, man.
This is like
100%.
This quarterback class is awful.
Yeah, which is why the Eagles need to not draft a.
The Eagles got 3 first-round picks,
don't need to draft a quarterback this year. Even if you establish, and I'm not necessarily in this boat, I'm still in the I don't know. Even if you establish that Hurts isn't the guy moving forward, which I don't think there's enough on that yet, but that's a separate issue that we can get to. But use your 3 first-round picks to build all the other stuff.
Yeah.
You draft defense and offensive line's been okay, but keep building because some of those guys are getting.
How about some linebackers or other DBs?
They haven't drafted a linebacker
since 1970 something,
in over 40 years in the first round. And draft some help. Get the other guys, and then if you still need the quarterback, go after the quarterback the next year. You know what I mean? I don't think it's that difficult, but I know that if anybody can screw up the drafting idea, it can be the Eagles. That being said, they have some guys who are contributing. Dallas Goedert is the Eagles drafted. Devontae Smith is good, and they drafted him. But and I said this to you last week, like Jalen Reagor is a bust. Like
after a year and a half,
more than Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar at least had some flashes. You know what I mean? He had some flashes. Like Jalen Reagor, I can't get it done.
And it makes it so much worse watching Justin Jefferson put up nearly 200 yards
And here's
today.
the thing that I was saying, like
every week.
The thing is, like they didn't even need the guys to be as good as the guys they missed on, like Justin Jefferson or DK Metcalf or whoever, like whatever draft year you want to look at. The Eagles screw it up, with their wide receiver pick. They don't even have to be that good. They just need to be serviceable.
Right.
But like before this week, right? And his numbers probably went down because he had one catch for 7 yards this week. But
brutal.
Of the 63 wide receivers that met the criteria, like certain criteria of playing enough, Jalen Reagor was ranked 58th out of the 63, and he had one catch for 7 yards today. So like it could be worse.
Not ideal.
Today. Right.
Not ideal.
It's just bad.
Yeah. So let's put a hat on or a pin in the college football talk. Right. I mean, do you want to say anything about the college football playoff, like where we're at?
Well, so I think they got it right with the rankings, and the matchups that we're going to see. Oh man, I think you're going to see a Georgia-Alabama rematch in the national title game. And if you're asking me to pick, like I think Georgia might be in some areas better than Alabama, but
they did not prove it.
I'm not going against Nick Saban and Alabama. Like,
yeah,
no, not a chance. So I think that, I think you gotta. I would take Alabama as the favorite right now. I know that's not going out on a limb. They're the number 1 seed and just smoked the presumed number 1. So like,
right. Yeah, what a wacky year though in college football. The college football playoff committee got it right, but
only because the teams made it easy on them, though.
Right, yeah, because if Oklahoma State wins that against Baylor, like that could have been tough.
Big Ten officials, they would have won because that would have been in.
I still think Cincinnati earned the opportunity to be in the conversation. So I'm not taking Oklahoma State over them.
No, but I think you could argue that that Oklahoma State's a better team. I know that's a little counter to what I just said, but like to me, who has Cincinnati beaten?
Notre Dame.
They have won, right.
At Notre Dame.
But who has Notre Dame beaten?
No one. Yeah, I know. No one.
Navy. Their best win was at Florida State.
And they are awful.
Yeah, I don't think they're 500.
No, I know. I do think a group of 5 team should have that chance and opportunity. And we've seen it in years past where people were like, what was it, Boise State getting left out for how many? And there's been Utah and a whole bunch of UCF. A whole bunch of teams not getting the opportunity. Now Cincinnati gets that opportunity. Honestly, I can't say they're gonna win, but I think they're gonna do their best. And can you imagine if they beat Bama?
See, that scares me because like I don't want Michigan to win. Basically, like I'd be okay with any of the other 3 winning. But I don't want Michigan to win.
Michigan would be the last one I want to win, but Bama's there next.
See, I don't even. They've reached
what does
Patriot
it matter?
Status to me. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Who cares if they win another one?
And if I had to pick, I'd pick Bama over Georgia. I don't want Georgia to win.
See, I don't really have a problem with Georgia.
But see, the thing is, then it's just another thing for Georgia. Like last time Georgia won a national title was after Penn State won a title, or like longer ago than when Penn State.
Well, Penn State also beat Georgia.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So like, I want to keep that intact. Yeah. Like,
I mean, let's face it. Most of the country wants Cincinnati to win.
Oh,
unless you're an Alabama, Georgia, or Michigan fan. Right. Everyone else in the country wants Cincinnati.
They're busy watching Lakers games and things like that, and Cowboys games.
So Penn State 7-5 playing a New Year's Day bowl against Arkansas in the Outback Bowl. So going to Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, Tampa. Yep.
Tough matchup, but none of Penn State's players have signaled that they're not going to play. Now they just learned where they're going to play. I know people were wondering about Jahan Dotson, but I believe he's made comments in the past saying basically why would I be here doing this if I wasn't going to play in that game?
Right.
in a bowl game, so I believe he'll play. We haven't had draft determinations yet from anyone, I think, at Penn State, other than the ones that are required to move on.
Right, and it's still more complicated than
well, and a lot of
yeah.
those players that were, fifth-year seniors this year still have another year of eligibility because of the COVID rules, including Sean Clifford.
Right.
Now, I believe, does Dotson too? But he's not taking it. He's
Dotson
going to the
could,
NFL.
but he's going to the NFL. He'd be foolish not to.
But I think Brisker's done completely.
Brisker's done.
But Jair Brown could be back.
He could be back.
Part of the safety
I'd love
tandem.
to see him be back and then become next year's Brisker.
Yeah. There was a lot of hype around Brisker all year, and he lived up to it. He had an incredible year. I would love to see Brown get the same treatment because he didn't walk at the senior day ceremony.
Right.
So I'm kind of thinking maybe Brown's going to come back and hope to get the Brisker treatment. So we'll see what happens. But Penn State had their up and down. Defense was very good all year. Brent Pryce left for the Virginia Tech job. Don't know about the defense coordinator yet. Penn State recruiting was off the charts this year after a down year last year. Hopefully they can hold it together over the next 10 days. And check back with us in a few weeks to find out if Penn State gets win number 8 against a good SEC school.
Yeah, it would be a big boost to get that win and use that momentum going into the offseason. That would be huge. So hopefully they can get things going and end a season that didn't go the way they wanted to, but ended on a positive note and didn't really get rolling.
I blame you for that.
That was probably my fault.
All right, so let's dive into our NFL talk now. We're through 12.8 weeks as we have 2 games left here.
So that just
week
reminds
13.
me of, in baseball, you know how it's 4.1 would be 4 1/3?
Yeah.
That drives my wife
I don't like it
insane.
either. I'm just my eye twitches. I'm like,
So,
that's not right.
Right. She teaches math and
4 1/3, not 4.1.
Right,
0.1 is not 4.333333333. Well, you get to put the bar over top of it,
right,
okay?
you have to put the bar or it wouldn't be a third.
So
Yeah, it's
I'm with her 100%. I look
No.
at that and I just
No,
get
I
angry.
love it. I
just
love it.
get
I
angry.
think
You
we should
would.
do more numbers like that.
And this says a lot about you. All right, so my uncle's got an email to keep track of things. I actually have our NFL preview, our picks in the AFC and NFC, and I think that's a good place to jump off because we can talk about how has the first half plus of the NFL season gone for our predictions. So these are your predictions. Throwing you under the bus first.
That's fine.
Okay.
I can take it.
So in the NFC, you picked Dallas at 1. Still possible, but not looking great recently.
No.
Tampa Bay 2, very, very accurate. I think they're right in that discussion. Los Angeles, as in the Rams, at 3. At times that looked to be an underestimation, but now it might be an overestimation.
Right, because they're probably not going to win their division.
They're having a tough time. Chicago at 4. I think you want to take that one back.
Yeah, I whiffed on that one.
But Washington at 5 is a good one for you.
Yeah.
They won today.
Yep.
They beat the Raiders, right? So they're looking good in that wild card race, and they're not out of the division yet. So we'll see what happens with Washington. Green Bay at 6.
Right.
Probably would like to change with Chicago on
right.
that. But again, entering the year, when we did these, Aaron Rodgers was an unknown.
Right. We didn't know what was going to happen there.
And honestly, I think having them at 6 without Aaron Rodgers is an overestimation
No way.
of that team.
I'm confident.
Then you have Seattle at 7.
Yeah,
That's not looking good either, though they had a big win today.
They did get a big one today.
In the AFC, you had the Chiefs at 1. Still could happen.
Yeah.
Buffalo at 2. Still could happen.
Could happen.
They started strong but have faded.
Next couple weeks will determine a lot for that one.
You have Indianapolis at 3, and they look like they're coming on. They had that big win at Buffalo the other week. They played Tampa Bay tough last week. And they got a win today.
And I would agree with this too. As they keep going, if they can get in, because right now they're still technically outside the playoff picture. I think they're 7-6 now, though. But if they were to get in,
that's not a team you want to play.
Not a team you want to play.
No.
They can run the ball and they have good defense. Yeah.
You have Baltimore at 4. Still could happen, but they did suffer a loss today, and that was an interesting game and decision late. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit more. Tennessee at 5, definitely. Right now, I would say them in Indianapolis would be switched. But like you said, Indy wouldn't even technically be in yet. But in terms of trending, both those teams were probably okay. Cleveland at 6. They're having a rough go of it.
It's a possibility, but not trending in the right direction.
No. And at 7, you have New England, which is unfortunately to say it, selling them short at the moment.
Yeah, they're the 1 seed as we speak right now.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that.
I was gonna say that when in our little group thing today when somebody was like, "Oh, the Eagles will screw this up," and I'm like, "Yes, they will," but at least we're not in the same division as the Patriots.
Oh God, I hate you. I know that was maybe more at Adam, but like it also like collateral damage
more
here.
or less than you hate Mac Jones.
Oh, I want to cry. All right, here's my playoff. So in the NFC, I had Tampa Bay at 1, still a possibility. Los Angeles at 2, which at the beginning of the year we were looking really good with LA in the top 3.
And to be honest, if they get right, that's a team I don't want to mess with either.
Right, yeah. Because the way they were playing the first, month and a half of the season, they looked up. Dallas at 3, still very much in play for me. I went with Minnesota and went out on a, and again, for the people that may just be tuning in, we did this thinking Aaron Rodgers was not playing.
July.
This was I don't even know when we did
when
the
we
NFC.
Finalized these,
NFC North.
July,
yeah,
right.
we finalized these at the end of July. So we talked NFC North probably in June. So, and I think you were remote or not even here for that one.
I was probably down south.
Yeah,
Right.
so I had Minnesota at 4. It's not going to happen. I thought maybe they could stay up there with the wild card, but then they went and lost to the Lions today. Which, congratulations to Dan Campbell and the Lions, because we went on this show when we talked NFC North, and actually it was probably just me if you weren't here. I was rambling how I thought Detroit would start slow, like Miami did with Flores a few years ago, but that they would be a problem in the second half for teams, ruining some seasons.
This is the thing, and I don't know what it is. Dan Campbell rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know. The whole, just all in and, he cares and,
how dare he care?
Right, no. Those are all things that, appeal to me. I don't know what it is.
Well, see, I like him because he took over for, was it Philbin when he was fired?
I think it was, yeah.
One of the Miami Dolphins coaches was fired mid-season, and they were not good.
Can't put a finger on which one it
was. There's a long line of coaches and failed seasons over the last 20-plus years. So actually, I believe New Year's Eve or the day before New Year's Eve this year, I'd have to double-check, will be the 20th anniversary of Miami's last playoff victory. 20 years, Justin.
Maybe they'll get one this year.
20 years.
Trending all right now.
Well, yeah, right now, but they screwed themselves over earlier in the year.
Yeah,
They lost how many games on the last second field goal? Jacksonville, Las Vegas in overtime, and Atlanta. They have 3 games right there that they could go from 6 and 7 to 9 and 4.
And
they could be 9 and 4 right now.
Those, each of those are games you gotta win. It's one thing if you're oh, we lost to Tampa on a last second field goal. But no, to lose to Jacksonville, I know it's in London, but that's the one you can't lose. The Raiders won early in the season. The Raiders looked all right. It
was on the road. It was in overtime.
But still, those are games you should win.
Good teams, playoff caliber teams, win
Atlanta
those
got
games.
Smoked by the Eagles first week. That should have told everybody everything you needed.
So that's frustrating. But anyways, Dan Campbell took over and won a few games from a team that was either winless or had only won a game, and everyone was interested to see could he become the long-term coach. He didn't get the job. He went to New Orleans, was at New Orleans for a while, 6-7 years, something like that, and then he got the Detroit job. But I said, bringing this all full circle to the NFC North in 2021, I said, I don't think Detroit's good. I don't think they're going to push for the playoffs, but I could see them being a team that starts off and looks bad, gets better as the year goes on. Now, if you're watching game and clock management the last few weeks, I don't know if that's all there, but they got to win today on the last play of the game. Goff to St. Brown. Everyone celebrated. It was great. It was at home. It was in Detroit, too. It just affected my number 4 team, Minnesota, who I had winning that division. But honestly, if Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay, I think Minnesota does win that division. So I don't think I'm wrong there. I'm counting that as a win.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I mean?
No, I understand.
I don't think Green Bay's that good without Aaron Rodgers.
No, and I think Minnesota is the best team in the division if he's not
it might be close. Maybe it's closer and maybe Green Bay's still better, but I don't
think it is.
We were
because not just losing quarterback, it's the whole mindset. That's a whole different mindset.
But then I had Arizona at 6.
Yeah.
You didn't have Arizona at all.
I don't have one there.
Okay. So I had Arizona at 6. That's now selling them short.
The way they fell off at the end last year scared me off for this year.
Well, and they had an issue here in the middle, but they were missing 2 of their best players.
Right, but the issue still scares me because like if Kyler Murray isn't good to go, like I know they can win games because they just won 2 out of 3.
Well,
with Colt
yeah, I was
McCoy.
gonna say Colt McCoy's in
But
there.
like, that's fine for winning 2 out of 3 in the middle of the season.
Right.
That's
Can
not
you
gonna
do
get
it come
done
January?
A month from now.
Or
right.
February.
Yeah.
And then I did have Green Bay at 7 because I just didn't know what to do with them without Aaron Rodgers. In the AFC, Kansas City, still a possibility. Buffalo, 2. Baltimore, Indianapolis. Honestly, most of my AFC is on the board and in a pretty legitimate possible falling out finish. I would probably, if I had the opportunity, I would probably swap at least Cincinnati for Pittsburgh, and I would have to acknowledge that New England's going to make it over Miami. Miami could still make the playoffs, but that would require most likely Los Angeles or Pittsburgh or, like I said, Cincinnati not making it. So, we always hit on some and miss on others, but Super Bowl wise, we went a little bit farther, and both of ours are still on the table. Justin, you had the Chiefs beating the Rams in the Super Bowl, and I had the Chiefs beating the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. So obviously we need Kansas City to go far. I had Baltimore in the AFC Championship game. You had Indianapolis, so you're all on board of the Wentz wagon again. He's looked good. I think if they didn't clinch it today with his play, they will in next week's game. The Eagles will get Indianapolis' first-round pick based on
Right, and
snaps,
some of that
I
would
believe.
depend on whether or not they make the playoffs. Because if they make the playoffs, he only needs them. I think they only need 70% of the snaps.
Okay.
If they don't make the playoffs, they need 75.
I think they were close to getting to 75.
They were close to
today.
getting 75 today.
Yeah,
it's tough because it's an estimated number. And also they were up big, so I don't know that he played 100% of the snaps today.
Okay.
So like, because there's a few games where he's played like 98% of the snaps because they've blown out some teams. And they have a couple losses that you're like, oh man, they should have won that game. Like I know he had the one with like the pick at the end and all that stuff. But at the same time, like we looked at their schedule. Their schedule was brutal the first month of the season. They had a brutal schedule to start the season, and then it's come back to normal, and all of a sudden you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Now I think they might play the Patriots in a week or two. So like that could be interesting, but.
Well, now that we went through our recap of what we did and we kind of gave you our division winners, our wild card teams, went all the way to the Super Bowl. Let's check in with my uncle. So, Rich from New England and or Florida, depending on the time of year.
East Coast
right.
Rich.
He also copied my dad on this, so my dad will check his email in 2 to 3 weeks, and he'll see that then.
I was gonna say you'll have to read this to him tomorrow.
No, he's listening now too, so I'm sure I'm gonna get a text. It'll probably have the middle finger emoji or something like that. So my uncle says, Joe and Justin, welcome back to the NFL. But first, congratulations to the Wilson High football team for their good season. Thank you. Yes, they did have a very good season. Started off slow, 2-3, ended 9-4 and district runner-up. Undefeated LL1 champions, though. So congratulations to Coach Doms, his staff, and the players for yet another great season.
Yes.
Even at times, people didn't believe it could happen.
Right.
And they were able to prove everyone wrong, and those are the best kind of stories. He goes on to say, I know you wanted better, but at least they got to the playoffs. And speaking of high school football, Rockland High, where his kids went, won the Division VI state title on Friday. Wow, congratulations to them also. And we send our congratulations to Rockland High in Massachusetts. State title's nothing to sneeze at. So
No,
hopefully we
awesome.
get one of those at Wilson someday,
be
too. That would be fun on the gridiron. Got a few in other sports, but still eludes us on the football field. My uncle continues, now let's take a look at your early season picks. NFC North, Bill and I took the Packers. You had the Vikings and Justin the Bears. I know we didn't know if Rodgers was playing yet, so he brings up everything we did about the NFC North. NFC South, we all took the Bucks. NFC East, you all took the Cowboys, but I took Washington. So my uncle has Washington.
Yeah, and I think Washington's in a good spot in the NFC in general. I feel like Dallas is. I think they're all like 2 games up, technically in the division maybe, but like they're also the best team in the division. Like let's
I know they're
be
having a
honest,
rough patch here, but
right, but they're still
Dallas is still better.
right. They're still the best.
But you got to play the games, and there's a lot of games left to be
I
played.
laid out the scenario.
You
I wanted
did,
to happen.
you
I laid it out.
You did. You
That's
want the
what I
Cowboys to win the
wanted.
divisions, then the Eagles to upset them in the playoffs.
Right, Cowboys finish in that 2 seed or wherever, and the Eagles go
2 or
on the
3,
road
whatever
in
it
that
is.
in that first week of the playoffs. as a wild card and beat them. Oh my gosh, that would be incredible. That would make my NFL season like whatever. Like if the Eagles get housed the next weekend, so be it. Like that would be incredible.
Kansas City's up 10-0, by the way.
Good.
Flyers lost 7-1 to the Lightning today.
Yeah, so I kept checking scores. We were like getting the kids like, bathed and all that stuff, and I kept like checking the scores on my phone. And every time I went on, like it kept showing like the Flyers were down another goal. I'm like, is this literally just adding a score every time I open up the app? Like, what's going on?
At 4-0, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm gonna back to football.
Seen enough here.
NFC West. We all took the Rams. He took the Cardinals, so he's looking. He's on the Arizona bandwagon. Yeah. We were iffy on them. We thought we had him in the wild card hunt. I had him in the wild card, but we just couldn't pull the trigger. But it'll be an interesting race with the Rams, Cardinals, 49ers. A little hiccup today, but they had been looking better. Actually, that win really hurts their chances in the division now. Cardinals have a 3.5 game lead, I think, because aren't the 49ers like 6-6?
Yeah, so
they haven't had their bye yet, so the Cardinals could be 4 games up. They had some injuries and stuff, and I was down on San Francisco entering the year. I remember Peter King had them, I think, in the Super Bowl or something like that, and I was like, I just don't see it.
Right, and to be honest, San Francisco is better than I probably thought they would be. They had a rough start, though, this season, and it's interesting.
So he says, Bill and I have 3 divisional winners correct so far, and you and Justin have 2. The playoff teams were Joe, Packers, Seahawks, Cardinals, Justin, Packers, Redskins, Seahawks, excuse me, sir, Washington football team, Seahawks, Bill, Bears, Vikings, Seahawks, and me, as in Rich, Vikings, Cowboys, Rams.
He's looking pretty good.
He is looking pretty good. NFC winner, me and you both had Rams over Bucks. Rich had Bucks over Packers, and Bill he wrote down that my dad had the Rams winning. And AFC North, we all took the Ravens. I still think that's a good bet.
And I think they're going to win the division, yeah.
AFC South, we all took the Colts, and he took the Titans. Both still in play, though Tennessee, I think, still has at least a game up, maybe 2.
And they have the tiebreaker because they beat the Colts twice.
Did they beat him twice?
Yeah,
okay, I didn't realize
they beat
both.
them
okay.
early and in the middle of the season.
In the AFC East, he says, I hate to say it, we all took the Bills.
I still think the Bills
doubting his
Bills
team.
could win the division.
Huge game tomorrow night.
If the Bills don't win tomorrow night, New England wins the division.
It all comes down to Buffalo.
Right, and the pressure's on Buffalo. Like
it's in Buffalo, too.
Yeah, because they play again in 2 weeks.
In New England,
and it's just like, yeah, I'm telling you, if the Patriots win tomorrow, they win the division.
I don't disagree. In the AFC West, we all took the Chiefs. So far, Rich has 3 correct. And the 3 of us, as in me, you, and my dad, have 2 correct. Playoff teams, I had Chargers, Dolphins, Steelers. Justin and my dad had Titans, Browns, Patriots. And Rich had Browns, Colts, Patriots. AFC winners, I had Chiefs over Ravens. Justin, Chiefs over Colts. Rich, Chiefs over Bills. And my dad, he just has Bills. So that means... Oh, he has it. I should have kept reading. He has it down there. For some reason, I didn't note your Super Bowl winner. Oh, we already went over that. And he said, anyway, I will be listening tonight. Have a good show. Rich, you're up-and-coming Patriots fan. I don't like that, Uncle Rich. But his Super Bowl pick is, he doesn't have
Chiefs
it here.
over Bills. Oh,
that's AFC.
One.
So
right,
he has Chiefs, Bucks in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And my dad had Rams, Bills in the
right.
Super Bowl. So all of those are still in play. At least we didn't pick a team that doesn't even have a shot at making the playoffs of the Super Bowl. I should probably say mostly just Super Bowl because we did pick a few teams that probably have no shot at the playoffs. But that's how it happens sometimes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. All in all, I don't think we did awful. We did this in May, June, and July.
There were a couple, like you said, the Aaron Rodgers thing would definitely change our picks a little bit.
Yeah, we would have both taken Green Bay.
But, the Bears have underwhelmed. And, it's been a mix of coaching and even when he's in there, Justin Fields has looked human. Now, part of that is they don't have their offensive line is terrible, which is why Matt Nagy was like, I don't want to play Justin Fields right away. And then he's in there, and he looks not that great most of the time because the offensive line is terrible. I don't know what, yeah, it's tough. But you traded up to get him. And I'm not saying it was a bad pick. Like I think it's a good pick for the Bears.
Right.
But like, you put yourself in a bad spot when you trade up to draft a quarterback and you have no way to protect him or weapons because Allen Robinson is your only real weapon,
Right.
and he's been hurt a bunch this year.
Yes, very much
And
so.
in that, I'm not saying I think he's hurt, but I also think he's like kind of like you know like today's game. I don't know, but like, does he play today if they're like 7-4 instead of 4-7 or what? Like
Probably.
right, like. He's got to be a little bit like, for what? Because didn't they franchise him? Like, is
Yes.
he franchised? Right.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's hopefully things change for him. So
I'll trade you Jalen Reagor for Allen Robinson straight up.
straight up,
If there's a team that would take it, it would
might
be the Bears.
Chicago. So we talked about it with college that it was an interesting year because we saw some teams that have been so good over the last few years come back. Clemson is the big one, not there
And
this
reportedly
year.
losing their DC now.
Venables going to Oklahoma, who was very good for most of the year, but fell short in a couple games, including last week in Bedlam to Oklahoma State. Then Lincoln Riley bolted to take the USC job. Then we had the really random decision of Brian Kelly to leave an 11-1 Notre Dame team that he's been with for 12 years to go to LSU.
I think this. At first, I was like, "Oh, he's just like sour grapes." When they had the Notre Dame AD on, but then like when you heard stories about it, you're like, "No, he was being dead serious." When he's like, "No, I wasn't surprised at all." Like, you're like, "Okay, then, all right."
We could do an entire episode on whether those are smart or good decisions or how they were handled and the issue of, should coaches be able to do this? Should there be some kind of loyalty or responsibility? And now that the players have a lot more, they're getting a lot more in return or have that ability in the transfer portal too. I don't think it's as big of a deal, but I know people see these ballooning salaries and a lot of people don't like the coach's compensation. Like, we are not experts on that. But again, we've talked about player contracts and how you have to you cannot compare everyday Joe Schmoes to these industries. It's just not the same.
No, it's not at all.
You can't. And
Well,
everyone,
you look at stuff and you're like, oh well, these guys are making however much money, and you're like, yeah, they are, but
the money is there. Like, they wouldn't be getting this money if the money was there. And why is the money there? Because people are giving it to them, whether it's through media contracts or booster supports, purchasing tickets, purchasing apparel. If we wanted to stop, it's on us. Not on these schools and coaches.
Right.
So that's but like, honestly, most of the time when you have people complaining about things like that, it's people that don't even like the sport.
Oh. Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's people that's like, this is ridiculous. And like, okay, well, what, who do you like? What do you, I don't watch football. Right. Okay. Thanks for your input. I really appreciate it. But yeah, so what was wrong with the Chiefs at the beginning of the year?
I think some of it was 5 new offensive linemen have to gel. I think some of it is just kind of like they've had 2 long seasons in a row, really 3, because the year before they went to the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. So like they've been to the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl the last 3 years. That's a lot.
A lot of extra games.
It's like an extra half season.
Mm-hmm.
A little more than half a season, almost like 2/3 of a season over the course of 3 years. I think just some of those things. I think some of it was, and they were talking about this. Some of it was teams are sitting back in Tampa 2 and making Patrick Mahomes throw 35-yard passes. Not 35-yard passes.
35-yard
passes. Right. And
which has done wonders for Tua in Miami. You see his completion percentage and what he's been able to do over the last 5 or 6 weeks.
But to be fair, you got to take what they can give you. And that's what he has done more of. And they've also started running the ball when Edwards-Helaire went out a little bit. They started giving Darrell Williams the ball some more, and then that kind of changed the mindset a little bit because they gave Helaire more touches last week. Like, just it's not that you have to run the ball; it's that you have to be able to run the ball. Does that make sense? Like, and that's been Andy Reid's MO forever. Like he doesn't have to run the ball, but you have to be able to run the ball, and that to circle back around, that was Penn State's problem this year. Like you don't have to be able to run the ball. Like you don't have to run it all the time, but you have to be able to, and they couldn't, and that was a problem. And that's why the Eagles turned it around this year. Like they weren't even trying to run it early in the year, and then they started running the ball. How about this? Like Miles Sanders set a career high for
I saw that
today when he went over 21.
Yeah, it's not even like
right, and then he sprained he hurt his ankle again at the end. I don't know that he sprained it. He hurt it again at the end, but yeah, it's just one of those things where now the Eagles had the bye next week. So they've got some time, which is good because Kelsey got dinged again too. So, like they're in trouble if those two guys aren't getting it done. But, yeah, we'll kind of have to just wait and see. However, I think a lot of those things were what was going on. You know, they needed to gel on the offensive line. You know what? Their defense has gotten better, and it's one of those classic like great offense, complementary defenses. You know, like we saw in Indy for years when
or New
Peyton
Orleans
was there. Right, like not a great defense in like a if the offense isn't clicking, but when the offense is being able to score some points, then the defense is able to get pressure on it.
right.
Like so, a couple weeks ago, when is it Chris Jones when he just like blew up Connor McGovern over and over and over again, 3.5 sacks. Like Connor McGovern was one of those, and I like him because he's Penn Stater, but like I always felt like they were like, oh, he's gonna get drafted, and I'm like, I don't see it. He wasn't that good.
He was a third-round pick.
Right. I was like, he's not that good, and there he was getting blown up, play after play by Chris Jones. But
So I want to pose a question to you, and we did this during Wilson football march towards the playoffs. Yeah. If you had the option of taking the Chiefs or the rest of the AFC playoff field, which are you most comfortable taking?
Playoff field.
You taking the field?
Yeah.
What if I gave you the Chiefs or the AFC East winner?
I take the two.
That's kind of where we were at with the high school playoffs too.
Yeah.
We talked about how if you only give me the 1 or the 2 seed and then everyone else, I'll take the field. But if you give me the 1 and the 2 seed or the field, I'll take the 1 and 2 seed. One ended up happening. The 2 seed won. Unfortunately for us.
Yeah, would have loved
the 5 seed. I would have liked the 5 seed to win, but it didn't happen. But that's kind of where I'm at too, because right now I feel like it's the Chiefs and the AFC East winner.
I agree.
The AFC North is interesting to me.
Well,
yes. So is the AFC South.
I was going to say, so here's the thing. If Indy gets hot, that they're interesting. If Tennessee can hold on and get Derrick Henry back and Brown and Julio, like
see
they could be interesting, but I would pick them 3rd or 4th out of that group. Like I don't trust them.
It all comes down to quarterbacks.
It does. And
the way I look at it, I trust the Chiefs and Mahomes.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but if they win the AFCs, I trust both Josh Allen and the Bills or Mac Jones and the Patriots. I trust Wentz and the Colts. Are you breaking stuff again?
Did you hear that?
It was like a click.
Yeah. Well, I think the headphone adjusted one level, but I didn't touch it, and it freaked me out. I thought something hit me in the head.
Oh no, that's after the show. I got a bat.
Right.
I trust Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Do you?
I do.
I do too.
I do.
I do too.
I don't know that I could say that about Roethlisberger and the Steelers, just because it's not 10 years ago. I don't think Burrow and the Bengals are there yet, if they would make the playoffs. But I also don't trust Ryan Tannehill. And that is not coming from, like, I have sour grapes about his time in Miami.
No,
I don't.
It wasn't him.
Because it wasn't him,
right.
and I never thought it was him.
Though.
Like, I'm not a Tannehill hater. But I also don't see him as a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And that doesn't mean he can't win it, but I'll always look at him as another Joe Flacco, who I still don't think is a good quarterback. I don't think he ever was a great quarterback. He had one great year, and he'll go down in infamy for it now. Baltimore will love him forever. But I don't think Joe Flacco's that good of a quarterback, and I don't think he ever was that good of a quarterback. And we can say the same thing about who was the other Baltimore quarterback to win a Super Bowl?
Trent Dilfer.
Trent Dilfer.
Right.
Like, everyone knows that they won that,
Nick Foles.
despite.
Nick Foles showed us over and over again he's not a high-level starter in the
But
NFL.
by and large, when you look at the Super Bowl winners, they have a very good or great quarterback or elite quarterback.
Look at the AFC quarterbacks over the last.
Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger for the most part.
Yeah,
and now Mahomes.
You had Mahomes in the last couple years.
Yeah.
That's it. Like
Exactly.
the last 2 decades.
Yeah,
That's
well,
it.
Flacco made that one random
Right.
run.
Right.
And took him to the promised land and beat the 49ers. But Tannehill to me is a borderline top 10 AFC quarterback. And they're taking 7.
Right.
So
Well, and the thing is, I feel like they're going to continue to drop. They may hang on to the division, but I think if they win their division, they'll still probably be at the 4 seed.
sorry, they're taking 8. I meant the first round. I wasn't counting the bye.
yeah.
I shouldn't. That was a stupid way for me to say it. They're taking 8. And he's, to me, borderline top 8 in the AFC. That's just my opinion. So that's why I don't necessarily think Tennessee can get it done in the long run.
All right. They got off to a hot enough start that I think they'll make the playoffs.
They were exposed by Baltimore last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone made such a huge deal about that because Tennessee beat them in the regular season, and then Baltimore returned the favor when it mattered.
Right.
So I just, and the way Tennessee's playing right now, I know they're Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, a lot of big name firepower missing, but in the end, can they win a wild card round?
Well,
sure. Do I think they're winning a divisional round? I don't know about that.
If they don't win the division, they could very easily end up going to they could be going to Baltimore, Buffalo, New England, Kansas City, one of those.
Derrick Henry basically has to put the team on his back, and they have to run the ball 35 times for them to have a chance to win.
Derrick Henry doesn't play defense, and that's why he has to carry it 35 times.
Keep away.
Right.
Which we've seen a lot of this fall.
Yes.
Pound the rock, run the ball. It works for a reason. But is it sustainable, and can you do it all the way through the playoffs?
A guy coming off of an injury?
Yeah. Who's going to have missed, at least 6 weeks by the time he's back?
So, partly, he's fresh. Yeah, partly, but he's also fresh because he was injured and couldn't play.
Right. So, I know we didn't talk a whole ton about NFL Week 13 action. There were some interesting games. Saw Seattle upset San Francisco. And the ending of Baltimore-Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so I was telling you, last week, Auburn, Tank Bigsby needs to get down inbounds. And the coach screwed it up multiple times in terms of decisions, in my opinion, at the end of the game. I think, and one of those was he should have gone for 2. Completely different scenario here, though, with the Ravens. You've got the best kicker in football history.
Yeah, Justin Tucker.
Kick the extra point and go to overtime where a field goal can win it.
Right.
That's my opinion. I understand, on the road, let's just go win it right now. And you had the play. You just got to make the play. People are like, oh, the throw was wide. It was wide, but he was under, they brought the house. There were a lot of people. Right there, he had to get rid of it quick. And I know it would have been an amazing catch, but Mark Andrews has made tougher catches, and he had a hand on it. You got a hand on it. It would have been a great play, but you want to win it. If you're going to go for 2, you better be prepared to make a great play. You passed on the easy play of kicking the extra point. So,
which isn't, judging by this year.
No, this year is not. But when I've got Justin Tucker back there, I'm taking the extra point. And Pittsburgh's offense, I'm like, you think they're going to go down and score a 3rd touchdown? Really? You think they're going to go down and score a 3rd touchdown? Because if you don't, then I'm kicking the extra point.
Right. No, I agree with you. As regular contributor Paul Roberts, who should be back on this show in the next few weeks, has said all the time, every week he tweets it out. If you want your kid to be a success, get him kicking lessons because, I mean, in the first window today, there were 4 missed extra points.
Yeah, in a matter of moments, they were like early on too.
And those are game changers.
Well, you look at the Eagles. In the Eagles game, the Jets missed the first 2, and then the Jets went for 2.
I think the Bengals did too.
And this kid was signed yesterday because they cut their kicker yesterday. The Jets.
Amendola.
Yeah, cut him yesterday. Signed this kid today.
Yeah.
And he missed 2.
Just crazy. I mean,
so they had to activate him off the practice squad, I guess. But
right. So the last thing here this week in the NFL is also My Cause, My Cleats, where they are able to recognize charities and foundations on their cleats because the NFL is very uptight about their uniform rules by and large.
Just a bit.
And they don't allow specialized custom cleats during the game. I believe you're allowed to wear them within reason before the game for warm-ups. But you're not allowed to wear it during the games, except for, I believe, just this week. I don't think it's a multi-week thing. I think it's just this week. The first week in December, I think. First games in December.
I know other times they've done it separately because if their team's on bye this week, they let them do it.
Okay. Right, that would make sense. And Wilson quarterback or former Wilson quarterback Chad Henny, backup quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's participated in this event a few times. I actually have a pair right here behind me. He represented the Gilmore Henny Community Fund years ago. I have those cleats that he wore. I know he's also done one for the Chad Tuff Foundation for the grandson of Lloyd Carr, who passed away from a childhood disease. We talked about it if it wasn't on this show, it was on the Bulldog Hour with him.
Yeah, when we had him on.
When Chad was on, one of the handful of times we've had him on the show. And he has a new cause this year, and it's actually a local cause. He chose the Breast Cancer Support Services of Berks County, which is, I believe, part of the Berks County Community Foundation, which Gilmore Henny also fell under when it was active. So another great cause selected by Chad, and I know that one is near and dear to him right now. So we appreciate the support and the post from Kansas City Chiefs to just show what Chad is wearing right now as the Chiefs play the Denver Broncos. So he's got his Adidas spikes with some messaging on it, the pink breast cancer awareness ribbon, the BCSS abbreviations for the Breast Cancer Support Services of Berks County, the pink highlights, and then you can see his son wrote "Love Chase" on the bottom.
I love that.
And the nickname of the individual that he's supporting. So we love to see it. It's something we love to see, and I love seeing all the cleats from this
week.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
because you get such a wide variety
and you get
of charities.
Right, you get to see some of these people and it's cool, because if they're on the team you root for and you're in their market. So around here we'll hear about some of the things that Eagles players do just because we're in that market. But hearing some of that, it's just cool. It's a good reminder too that a lot of these guys do a lot of good things for others, and you don't always get to hear those stories, and it's just a good reminder. And it's always a good time for that, but it's also a good time to remember those things this time of year.
Yeah, and we know who Chad is honoring and supporting, and we don't want to get in too depth about it, but we're thinking of them as well in their fight, and all the people that have had to deal with the impact that cancer has so often on so many of the people that we know and love. So, yeah, great cause. Check out the cleats. Go onto any team's website. They probably have a feature, and you can see everything. I mean, you see your military, your first responders, different forms of medical support.
Things fighting hunger. I think Najee Harris's were fighting childhood hunger today. Stuff like that.
United Way. Any basically, if there's a foundation out there, and the better thing is you'll get educated on ones you don't know about. Right. Those are always the coolest ones to see. Be I didn't even know existed. I didn't know that player had this fun. So go and check any of the team websites, social media accounts, and you will see some of the awesome cleat designs. And some people go all out. They'll spend hundreds of dollars getting their cleats customized.
Oh yeah.
And then sometimes they'll be auctioned so that more money goes to the charity or the foundation. It's very, very cool. Check it out. Just wanted to make sure that we pointed that out.
Yeah, we like
here
to
in
rip
week
the
13.
NFL, or I do
Well, Justin
when I
does.
feel like when they're in the wrong. But my cleats, my costing is absolutely a win.
I say do it twice a year. Now you're 18 weeks, 17 games, 18 weeks. Do it twice a year.
Yeah,
let them have a chance to do another one.
Right.
Because they all either have or support more than one charitable foundation.
Well, I know a bunch of the Penn State players have worn
Thon
ones over the years. Like, yeah,
and we've seen in years past Penn State players do dance marathon shoes in the NFL.
Right,
They
right,
support Penn State Dance Marathon via My Cause My Cleats this time of the year. So I'll have to see if I don't know if Parsons or Owe Robinson didn't get to play, but do any of the recent Penn State grads did any of them choose Thon this year? I didn't see it on social media. It doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it has happened in the past. So very cool. But Justin, it was good to be back talking college and pro football instead of high school football. But Wilson had a great year. Still have one Berks County team still playing. Makes Ross Tucker happy.
Yeah,
his Y Missing Spartans are 15-0, playing in the state championship.
Who are they playing?
Rematch.
Is it?
Central Valley.
I thought it was going to be.
Central Valley does have a loss this year. I believe they're 14-1, but Central Valley got the better of Wyoming last year in the state championship game. Right. So even though this isn't the Bulldog Hour, we wish Coach Wolfram and our buddy Coach Steve O'Neill and the rest of the Wyoming staff and players best of luck this coming Saturday. I believe it's at noon. Kickoff at Hershey Park Stadium in the Pennsylvania 3A classification state championship game. I reached out to Steve last year to see if he could come on the show. It was supposed to be the night after they played in the state championship game, and they didn't win. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to pick at that scab. But I would love to get Steve on here. He's actually a big Broncos fan.
All right.
So I know he's watching the game against the Chiefs right now. I hate to say it, we're pulling for Chad and the Chiefs, but we have no ill will towards Denver teams, right?
No.
There's a connection to the Denver teams.
Right, we do. And my sister sent me a picture a few weeks ago when the Eagles were playing at Denver. She and her husband were at the game, and she sent a perfect picture, right after Darius Slay had picked up the fumble and run it back for a touchdown.
That was a good
she's
picture.
She's smiling, and my brother-in-law's just sitting there
I hate.
You've got to be kidding me. Yeah.
Yeah, he was not having fun. So your sister having fun.
But still handling it better than I would have, if it was the roles reversed.
So. All right, well, Justin and I will be back next Sunday, December 12th at 8:30 on all these same networks, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on those channels. Hit us up on Apple Podcasts, Google Play. No, sorry, not Anchor for this show. So many shows, I forget. SoundCloud. And just good to be back. Excited to talk more NFL with you all next week. And I think that's it. Anything else to say?
No, we'll see how it goes.
All right. I'll tell you one more thing.
I knew what you were going to say.
Go Navy.
I knew it. I knew that's what you were going to say.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.